Welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollack, along with Phil Kornblut from SportsTalkSC.com, as we talk about the Missouri Tigers and the South Carolina Gamecocks, a battle of freshman quarterbacks. Phil, why don't you first tell us about your freshman?
You froze up on me there, big boy.
Oh, my gosh. You got to be kidding me. This stuff is a piece of junk. Can you hear me now at all?
It keeps freezing up. I heard you say something about freshman quarterbacks, and that was it.
Oh, my gosh. This is going to be a disaster. This is like the Missouri offense. Just they can't get going, can't find any consistency.
Uh-huh.
All right. If you can hear me, I was asking you if you could tell us about your freshman quarterback.
Got it. Freshman quarterback Lorenzo Nunez at South Carolina. And, and you'll face the same situation. The one thing you just don't want to have happen to you during a football season, unless you have a superstar freshman quarterback, you don't want to have to run him out there. But South Carolina found itself in that situation. Connor Mitch got hurt, and then they had Perry Orth, a walk-on, and Michael Scarnecchia, a redshirt freshman, and Lorenzo Nunez. And Nunez is, of all of them, in my eyes, maybe the most athletic. He can do things with his legs, and I think with G.A. Mangus and Sean Elliott pretty much handling the play calling now, and they are read option, running game, quarterback type play callers. That's where they're trying to take advantage of his skills. So he started against Central Florida last weekend and did a pretty good job. Got off to a slow start. They didn't do much in the first half. But in the second half, they turned it up, and he threw the ball much better than people thought he could throw the ball. And he ran the ball with, as you might say, reckless abandon. He doesn't play like a true freshman. He just goes out and plays hard. And he really won over everybody, especially, most importantly, his teammates in the game last week when they ran this play. It was supposed to be a double throw to Pharaoh Cooper, and Cooper found it covered downfield, so he started running back to the other side of the field, the wide side of the field, and Nunez threw a big block on the corner to spring him for a touchdown, a 29-yard touchdown. And, I mean, it was a physical play. So the kid is not afraid. The kid is not timid at all as a true freshman. So, what you'll see out there Saturday is a kid that his passing skills are still somewhat suspect at this point in time. But if he's put in scramble mode and has to make something with his legs and there's room to run, he can make a play that way.
Well, that could be an advantage for the Missouri defense, because we saw Patrick Tolles in Kentucky just absolutely pick them apart with the passing game. And so if Missouri can shut down the run and force this kid to pass, maybe that's an advantage for Missouri. Phil, you talked about you don't want to start a true freshman at quarterback unless you have a star, and that's what we're going to find out here with Missouri. If Drew Lock is truly a star, kid's got a rocket arm. Can he make the right decisions over the course of an entire game? That's going to be the big question. Earlier in the season, it looked like South Carolina's defense was struggling. Have they gotten better, or is this an opportunity for a young guy like Locke to take advantage of maybe a less superior defense?
Yeah. Well, they're not a superior defense at all. Have they gotten better? It's been a weird defensive season for them. They've played 4 games. In 3 of them, they haven't allowed a point in the second half. Now, Georgia ripped them up pretty good from beginning to end. But in their other 3 games, they've given up first half points, no second half points. It's really hard to figure. Now, they played a very good offensive team in North Carolina to open the season and held them down points-wise. And shut them out in the second half. And then, of course, Kentucky jumped on them pretty good in the first half, shut them out in the second half. Georgia may just be too good. They just may be that good on offense, and nobody's going to stop them. And then last week they played what was the worst offensive team in the country statistically going in, and gave up some first half points, but shut them down in the second half and did a really nice job. They are mixing in a bunch of their freshman players. They're sort of like, hey, we've got nothing to lose by playing these freshman guys. And so they put a couple of guys in last Saturday, Boosie Whitlow and Shameik Blackshear and put them out there at defensive end some, and they kind of helped the pass rush some. They made a move with their linebackers. They took T.J. Holloman. They put him in the middle. They put Sky Moore at the will linebacker. That seemed to work well. Moore's a heck of a player. He had his usual game of 9 tackles. Holloman had 2 interceptions. They've got 6 interceptions on defense. 5 of them are by their linebackers. And what they do is they play that soft cover zone that with the Tampa 2 with the 2 deep safeties. The corners play off. And, of course, they're going to give up a lot of underneath stuff, but the hope is that you'll make a mistake and try and throw down the field in that zone, and they can intercept it. So they've done a nice job with that, and they seem to be becoming more comfortable with what John Hoke is trying to do with his coverage. But teams are able to go underneath them and complete the slants and the short passes against their defense. They're not giving up the big ball. They're not giving up the deep pass because they play off of you so much, and they do have those 2 deep safeties. But teams that can just be patient and take the short stuff can have success throwing the ball on them. Running the football against them, well, they gave up a lot of yards to Elijah Hood from North Carolina. They gave up a lot of yards to Nick Chubb of Georgia. But they're not horrible against the run, but their overall defensive numbers are kind of bad right now because they've given up a lot of yardage. They've given up a lot of yardage in the underneath passing game. So they don't look statistically like one of the better defensive teams in the country. But your question was, are they getting better? And I would say probably yes, because of some of the influx of the good young talent they have on the team. They're starting to play now.
I just don't know how to read this game. I looked at it. You look at paper and you say, all right, Missouri gets through their first batch of games. They go to Kentucky as the Eastern Division champs, back-to-back champs. You have to look at that game and say, you've got to win that game. You should win that game. Then you get Carolina, who looked like they were struggling. You win that one. Florida's got a new coach. This team should have been 3-0 going into the Georgia game. And instead now, you've got questions about your quarterback, Kentrell Brothers, the leading tackler in the SEC. He's questionable for this game. He won't be at 100%. You lost to Kentucky. Now you come in here with a revamped South Carolina team with a freshman quarterback that plays with reckless abandon. And this thing can go either way. Come Saturday, both of our teams could be looking at 2 losses in the SEC. And does that knock them out of the race?
Oh, absolutely. I think if South Carolina loses, that'll be 3 losses for them in the SEC. I think they're done. I mean, I don't know if any, but we'll see what Georgia does against Alabama. I mean, they have Alabama at home Saturday, and of course that's a huge test for them. They still have to play the rest of their SEC schedule in Auburn. I'm not sure how daunting the Auburn task will be. You look around the rest of the SEC East. I mean, Kentucky, you have to kind of give them their due. I mean, they beat South Carolina. They beat Missouri. They beat South Carolina on the road. They lost a close game to Florida. Florida's finding ways to win games right now. I'm still not sold on how good they are on offense. They're very good on defense. I'm not sold on their offense. But I think the 3 losses would certainly doom South Carolina. A second loss for Missouri, I don't think it would knock you out totally. You need Kentucky, of course, to lose. And obviously some other teams ahead of you. But South Carolina hasn't been 0-3 in SEC play since 2005, Spurrier's first year. But interestingly, that year after they fell to 0-3 in league play, they won their last 5 and played Missouri in the Independence Bowl in 2005. You might remember in Spurrier's first year. So they're sort of headed towards uncharted waters for the most part if they don't take care of business on Saturday. I think this is a game South Carolina can win from their standpoint. I think this is especially with what's happened at Missouri in the last day, it changes everything. I mean, now it's sort of you got 2 offenses that were struggling anyway, and now they're both being run by freshman quarterbacks. So that sort of evens things up. You probably have the better running game, though South Carolina's hopeful of having Brandon Wilds back. He's had some cracked ribs. If he's not able to play, that's a little bit of a setback for him. But they'll still have a respectable trio of running backs they can put back there if he's not able to go. This is with two offenses that have been struggling, I think it will simply come down to which quarterback protects the football and is able to make a few plays either through the passing game or through his legs. Which one can? I think protecting the football. The thing about Nunez is he did not have a turnover. Now he was lucky; he had a couple of passes that should have been intercepted that were dropped, but they were, and he was, so it didn't go against him. So protecting the football by both of these rookie quarterbacks, I think, is going to be essential to whichever team's going to win the game.
It always seems like when Mizzou and South Carolina get together early in the season, but they're big games and a lot riding on this in terms of postseason hopes for either team when it comes down to this game. Phil, you will be making your way to Columbia for a first-time ever Mizzou game, and we'd love to have you on our pregame coverage, and also if we can talk with you at halftime too.
You got it. Looking forward to it. I can take this one off the bucket list. That will leave me, as far as the SEC is concerned, I think that will only leave Ole Miss as the only place I've never been to a game in SEC play. So looking forward to it. I know I know the fans on both sides are maybe a little bit down over the way things have gone so far, and of course a 12 o'clock kickoff, 11 o'clock your time, that can sometimes keep the crowd down size-wise and also from an enthusiasm standpoint. But all that being said, looking forward to it, and we'll see if it's an exciting – look, these teams do play close, exciting games with one another. So I advise everybody who's got a ticket to be there and root for their team, because it likely might come right down to the last possession.
Yeah, and I think it's actually going to be very enthusiastic, because there are a lot of Mizzou fans who want to see one of their own from Lee Summit, Missouri, Drew Lock, take over this offense. And the most popular guy on the team is always the backup quarterback. So fans have been calling for him. He's going to get his chance, and we'll see what he does against the South Carolina Gamecocks on Saturday. Follow Phil and his crew at sportstalksc.com and our Mizzou coverage at MissouriNet.com. And Phil, thanks for your time, and we'll see you this weekend. It'll be fun.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you for watching.